All right, we're recording.
So welcome everyone to our Commission on San Diego, Commission on Gang Prevention Intervention meeting this evening. We're grateful that all of you are here. Unfortunately, our chair, Dr. Rodney Hood, is unable to join us. And so thank you for allowing me to sit in his space. And is there anything you want to open up with, Pastor?
Are you talking about? Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for allowing me to be on the commission for so long. And I would sing a song, but I don't think it might be appropriate right now. But I'm just glad to be here. I am. I'm glad to be here. I've been here for 11 years. This year would be the 11th year. So wow. I thank you for being participating.
Pastor Archie's not going too far. He'll still be involved.
I'll still be involved because definitely with Cast and with everybody else. So I'm just glad to be here on my final hiatus. New blood in the house, though. That's what I'm glad. Yeah.
Well, grateful for all your service over well over a decade, Pastor Commissioner Robinson. And Pastor Sandoval, is there anything you want to share at the opening?
No, if you want to just go ahead and get the roll call going, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so if I'm just going to call on folks, if that's okay, I usually try to do it alphabetically, but it's harder with the little thumbnails. Right. So of our commissioners that are here, we're going to do a roll call, please. And so I'm just going to go by the line of what I see on my laptop. Assistant Chief Ruben Leyva, would you please share who you're representing, please?
Yes, I am representing Interim Chief Cesar Escuro and the San Diego County Probation Department. Got a cast of extraordinary leaders on the call with me who will also introduce themselves when you're ready for them. Happy to be here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. And Commissioner Robinson.
Pastor Archie Robinson, representing right now, along with my fellow 4th District ones. Just glad to be here.
Thank you very much. And Commissioner Valladolid, please.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here. Commissioner Mario Valladolid for Area 1. It's good to see you all. Hopefully we'll get to see each other in person next time.
Thank you very much. And we excitedly welcome a new commissioner, Armand King.
Hello, hello. Thank you. And I'm glad to be here. And I believe I'm representing community-based organizations, but I've got 2 different messages, like dating a bad spouse and you get mixed messages, one of those.
Oh dear.
But either way, I'm representing the people, no matter what the title says.
I heard that.
Yeah, you're a CBO, community-based.
Yeah, you're a CBO, sir.
Yeah.
CBO.
That stands for can't be organized, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wonderful. And wonderful to see you, Commissioner Bustos. Please do your roll call.
Good evening, everybody. I am Elizabeth Bustos, from County of San Diego Health and Human Services Agency, proudly bringing to the table the public health perspective.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Bustos. Wonderful to see you. And Commissioner Brooks, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Commissioner DeAndre Brooks, representing the 4th District. I am driving right now, so as soon as I get to my destination, I will turn my video back on.
Thank you very, very much. And there are some phone numbers. Catherine, would you be so kind and to unmute and share on behalf of Superintendent Cindy Martin?
Sure. I don't know if you're aware, but Superintendent Cindy Martin was confirmed by the Senate on Tuesday to be the next Deputy Secretary of Education for President Biden. And so she is, we have an interim superintendent, Dr. Lamont Jackson, and I'm not sure if he has this on his calendar just yet, but I'm here on behalf of San Diego Unified to share the information with them. And hi, Armand, long time no see.
Thank you very much. We're grateful you're here. And I'm looking through, do we have anyone representing our Sheriff Bill Gore's office?
Good evening, everyone. Chuck Cinemo here, representing Sheriff Gore.
Wonderful. And do we have anyone representing the U.S. Attorney's Office?
Hi, Dana. This is Randy Grossman. I'm the acting U.S. Attorney. I'm here. It's nice to see everybody. And Dwayne, it's particularly nice to see you. It's been a while, but congratulations.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Very cool. And do we have anyone representing the District Attorney's Office?
Dwayne Woodley, I'm in here on behalf of District Attorney Summer Steffen.
All right. And do we have, so that's District Attorney. Do we have any other commissioners representing any of the other 9, Dana Brown, District 7, any other commissioners representing the 9 districts of the City Council that I missed inadvertently? No?
I think, is that Michael Morrill online?
There's some phone numbers that I'm not sure who they are.
Dana, this is my first meeting. I'm Shana Gross. I'm representing the San Diego Workforce Partnership.
Oh, wonderful.
Here for Peter.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Shana. That's great. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have a quorum. So we are going to, and is anyone missed? Is that everyone that is representing the commission? Okay, well, welcome all. We're very grateful that you're all here, and we just completed our roll call. Everyone should have received the agenda, and have printed it out or have it accessible. Pastor Sandoval, our executive director, would prefer that we stay together as a team so we can see each other and engage instead of the little thumbnails where you only see like 3 or 4 or 5 of us. So if that's okay with everyone, please know we are recording and we're going to all stay together as a team. And so in welcoming each of you here, I wanted to see if there are any additions or edits, if anyone would like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from our previous meeting of March 18th.
Motion to approve.
I did have one question, if it's okay, Mario, if I could, when I was looking through them, I was curious, Pastor, if the meeting was set for requested Pastor Sandoval to set up a meeting with Matthew Gordon, Rodney Hood, and Genevieve, and requested the letter be sent out to all commissioners and set up a meeting with respect to the gang documentation ad hoc committee. So that was, when I looked through, that was the only thing that I had a question about.
Yeah, so we did have the meeting. It got confirmed, and Matt Gordon heard all of our concerns on the previous recommendation, and he ran it up the chain of command. And I don't know if it was his direct advocacy that did it. He wasn't trying to take credit for it, but right after that, that's when we heard the mayor talk about which I was going to leave that space for Genevieve to talk about that on item 10C about what happened. So if she does join us, I want her to talk about that. But yes, we did have the meeting.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much for that update. So Commissioner Valladolid has made a motion to accept the meeting minutes from our March 18th commission meeting. Do we have any commissioners who would make a second? Thank you, Pastor Robinson. One of your last times you get an opportunity to make a second, so good for you, good for you. So we have Commissioner Valladolid that made the motion to accept the minutes, and Commissioner Robinson seconded the motion. Could we have all the commissioners please unmute and say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion has passed. So Pastor Sandoval, are there any public comments that have come through, please?
None.
None.
Nope.
All right. And we don't have a commissioner highlight for this evening. We do not have any action items. We do have a quorum, however, we don't have any action items. So we invite the San Diego Police Department to please give us an update on the gang case statistics and documented gang members, please.
Oh, Dana.
Yes.
Stefan was.
Oh, Stefan, I went right past. Okay, so my apologies, Stefan. We're going to back up a tad, and Stefan is going to give us a presentation on ghost guns.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stefan Abrams. I'm a part of Community Rep with Pastor Sandoval, but I also lead Team Enough, which is a gun violence prevention organization that is youth-led across the country. We are the youth affiliate for Brady United, if you are familiar with the Brady campaign, and something that has really been a passion project for me is learning more about the issue of ghost guns. So I'm going to share my screen and go through the presentation that I have. It says I need a password.
Oh, interesting. Let me see if I can go back and help.
There it is.
There it is.
We're good. All right. So some of you may be asking yourselves, what is a ghost gun? According to the ATF, it is an 80% receiver, 80% finished, 80% complete, unfinished receiver. Those are all terms that we use for what we call ghost guns. And basically what it is these are made at home firearms where you are able to purchase all the parts you will need to assemble a functioning firearm, except the lower part of the gun, the lower receiver, is not completely milled through. But however, the way that these are purchased, you can, it comes in a case where it shows you clearly what parts you need to cut off, sand off, and drill off. So yeah, and this is all based off of the definition from the Gun Control Act of 1968. So what does this mean? Essentially, this 80% receiver is the frame of a firearm that is manufactured just below the level of completion that would require it to be considered a firearm. This means that since it doesn't count as, if you buy all the pieces, it doesn't count as a firearm. That means that to the government, it's just a bunch of pieces of metal and plastic. And that means that there's no serial number, and it's also untraceable by law enforcement and the government. And this, hence, it means like no background check. So anyone can purchase these. So these are examples of if you look at the left-hand side in the middle picture, those are pictures of the lower receiver. It looks like it's just a piece of plastic, which it is. And they're very easy to form into an actual fully functioning lower receiver. And on the right, that's the box it comes in. And that can, if you choose to buy it online, it can get shipped right to your door. So this is some information from the year 2019 of how many ghost guns and crime guns were recovered at crime scenes. This number, if you look, especially for my people here who are part of the police department, a lot of you guys have access to information where we've actually seen increases in ghost gun recoveries, not only statewide, but even in our local city right here in San Diego. And the number is alarming, especially during the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, where we saw an increase of firearm purchases across the board. And this problem is especially prone to California, since we have such strong gun laws in our state. A lot of people are looking for ways to bypass a lot of the gun legislation we have here to find easier ways to have a firearm. And as I was talking before, this is the problem that is nationwide, but especially here in California. Especially since you can buy these weapons online. You can do a quick Google search of just the word ghost guns, and you can look either to purchase the kit which has all the pieces you would need, or you can purchase all the pieces individually. In almost all of the websites to order online, they do not ask for your age or anything like that, or any past history. It is to them, they're selling you a bunch of pieces of metal, even though once you receive all those pieces, you have all the tools you need to fully assemble a firearm. And this is also goes for people who are underage. In the state of California, you need to be 21 to own a firearm. It does not matter. You can be any age and technically purchase these parts. And also, there's no safety testing. There's no chamber load indicator, no magazine safety release, and also no microstamping. And I do know that microstamping is not something that is a part of firearms yet, even though the state of California has passed microstamping legislation to help law enforcement be able to track gun crimes easier. It has not been established yet by the gun industry. However, there are bills currently going down, currently in the Assembly Appropriations Committee, that would actually that would ask law enforcement to lead on this issue by having law enforcement firearms be microstamped first, to set the trend of not only ensuring the safety of firearms and making sure that we are holding all people accountable who have a firearm and may be involved in a crime. You might have heard about President Biden directing the ATF to draft regulations and address the increasing ghost gun problem. What does this mean? This basically means that he's asking the ATF to change the definition of what is a firearm and to take action on making sure that if people are trying to buy a ghost gun, that they have to be serialized and people have to go through a background check. And now I would like to show you a video of me actually purchasing a ghost gun myself. I'm currently 18 years old. I'm a senior at Del Norte High School. But when I was a minor at the age of 17, I decided as a project, along with Brady experts, that I would purchase one of these to show how easy it is for anyone to be able to purchase one. So here's my video. I've heard it's really easy to buy ghost gun kits online, and today I'm going to find out how easy it really is. So first off, I'm going to be doing a quick Google search of just ghost guns and seeing what pops up. Now that I'm on the website, I'm going to go to the 80% pistol frame kits, because that's what I'm looking to purchase. Here you see this item is out of stock. I go to another one, out of stock.
You know, I want to see these kits treated as firearms under the Gun Control Act.
I just purchased the frame kit. Super easy. Put in my billing information, put in my shipping information. It's gonna come to me in a few days. It's really that simple. This is the slide, this is the barrel, this is the slide spring, and as I said, this is the lower receiver. And now I have to do very light assembly here. Like, these are not complex tools. I can just find a video online of how to do it and just follow the video. That's all it would take to assemble a untraceable 9mm handgun. And yeah, that's the end of my presentation. This project was horrifying because even though I didn't know the dangers of how easy it was to access these weapons, you don't really truly understand it until you actually purchase it yourself. And I would want to also point out that these to purchase them technically right now, it's around $600, which is cheaper than it would to be able to buy a legal handgun but now, since they're in such high demand, we are seeing increases in those prices to around $1,000 as well. And that just goes to show that we don't know how many of these there are out there either. And it's an alarming problem, and it's already grown exponentially, not only within gangs, but just in general. Unfortunately, there was also a mass shooting in Gaslamp a few weeks ago using one of these weapons. It is important that we also realize that because I was able to get it, I had no motivation to, besides I wanted to show other people and educate others on the dangers of it. If there was someone who might be at risk, like if there was a 17-year-old who maybe was suicidal or maybe was going through a mental health crisis, they're not only putting themselves at risk, but others around them as well. But thank you, Pastor Sandoval, for having me and allowing me to share my story. I would love to answer any questions if we have any time.
Well, Stephan, your leadership is so profoundly inspirational, and thank you for clearly articulating how horrendous this problem is. And I know Commissioner Valladolid has a question. Would you like to share?
No, I was just, to piggyback on what Dana was saying, thank you for this presentation, because I have heard that there has a lot more people carrying guns nowadays. What I'm not sure of is if the guns are ghost guns or just regular firearms that they're buying off the black market. But I was wondering if there's been an increase in homicides and gun-related crimes due to ghost guns, specifically the ghost guns.
I don't know if we can really correlate a direct causation. However, since we've seen more and more of these being recovered by law enforcement every single year, I think it's pretty easy to say, to infer that these are a problem because there is a larger percentage every single year of guns used in crimes that are considered ghost guns.
And would any of our members here of our law enforcement, probation, sheriff, San Diego Police Department, would you please be so kind to share your thoughts on Commissioner Valladolid's question?
Dana, I can answer that. This is Chris McGrath from San Diego PD. First of all, Stephan, great presentation, very well done, and it really tells a story. For us at San Diego PD, we really didn't start tracking these unserialized weapons prior to 2017. It wasn't until 2017 when we started to realize that these guns coming in the mail were actually going to be trending to be a huge problem for us. So before 2017, we really only had a handful of these weapons that we impounded at our station. So we were right around 25 for the first year we started tracking them. And then over the last couple, 2-3 years after that, we noticed an upward trend to where we were in 2020. There were 210 of these ghost guns that were impounded at San Diego PD. This year, we're not even 5 months into the year, and we're at about 140 impounded ghost guns. So over the course of the last 3.5 years, we're right over about 500 of these guns. If that helps with some information.
And I do also want to point out that you can also purchase these ghost gun kits at gun shows as well. And there's legislation addressing that problem. There's also brick and mortar stores right here. I believe there's 2 within San Diego County, I believe, one in the city, where you can actually go in and purchase the ghost gun kit as well. But the mail problem is definitely concerning, especially if there was even legislation addressing this issue. And to answer your second question, Mario, there also are AR series editions of these firearms as well. These ghost guns, I'm sorry.
I'd like to ask a question about the micro stamp. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah.
What is that? I know some of the officers probably could, but I'm just trying to ask you when you made that statement about that.
So microstamping is a piece of legislation that was actually passed under the Unsafe Handgun Act, I believe all the way back in, I want to say 2007, but under a successful boycott by the gun industry, the gun manufacturers. They were saying, basically, we don't want to add microstamping because it's an additional cost of creating the firearm, and they successfully boycotted until this last summer, where there was a new version passed of the microstamping legislation. That was a negotiation between the gun manufacturers and other groups to make sure that we were able to find a way where microstamping legislation could be implemented. It's not implemented yet. It's a slow implementation process. But what my organization and other organizations are trying to do is trying to speed up that process, where basically if as soon as anyone starts microstamping their firearms, everyone else has to follow. And so if law enforcement, the bill currently this year is for law enforcement to lead on this issue. If law enforcement firearms are microstamped, they will not only be able to lead on gun safety practices, but they will also lead into civilian firearm use as well. And microstamping, it's an extra about 3% cost to a firearm, which is very minuscule compared to what you actually have to purchase to buy a firearm. It is not a major increase, and actually will save the state millions of dollars, because we will be able to solve more homicides with this microstamping technology. And that's kind of the argument that I always give to legislators is what's an additional $20 increase to a legal firearm purchase worth to compared to $3 million settlement. And also that money means nothing to mothers who just want to have justice for their children, and they want to make sure that whoever committed this violence to their family, make sure they get off the streets as well. And
what I'm really trying to find out is it a microchip in the gun? I'm trying to find out what does really happen when you say, is it something that is attached to it, put in it, or part of it?
So basically when the weapon is fired onto the bullet casing, it is microstamped, and when at the crime scene, law enforcement can take the bullet casing and be able to track the firearm.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure to the original, the place where they bought it, and all that information that they would have access to hopefully I've heard other people compare it to DNA tracing, as that it can be revolutionary in solving gun crimes. And before, like in the future, it's going to be implemented way more. We're going to look back, like, how did we not have this technology before? Because we have the technology to make sure that we hold people accountable who want to use firearms not to protect themselves, but to commit harm. We have that technology, so we didn't make sure it's implemented.
And then Stefan, Commissioner Bustos has a question, please.
Actually, and thank you very much. And Stefan, thank you for this presentation that really goes into the heart of the matter.
Mm-hmm.
It does not waste any time to just go to the heart of the matter. So, and this is more of an ask to my fellow commissioners, with the understanding that we understand we can be influencers and are influencers. Hopefully this is a conversation starter with you, Stefan. I mean, what is your ask to us? How can we best advocate and raise awareness and really, drill down on being able to impact policies around this?
That's a great question. And I've had conversations with Pastor Sandoval and also Bishop Bowser, who I believe is also on the call, about this and what we can actually do. Mayor Gloria is committed to this issue. He's heard about my project. And some of you may know I've worked with him for several years. And I helped advise his gun violence prevention policy during his campaign. And he's committed to this issue. And the biggest thing is when this ordinance comes to our city, I would love to have the testimony of many of you there as well to speak in support, because we know what this issue is doing to our communities, and especially young people as well. So I would say that's the best ask right now.
Thank you for that.
And I know, Stefan, when you shared during the recent CalVIP event, and that was really lifting up the day-to-day gun violence, and when you articulated in your presentation about minors, I mean, you were 17 years old and easily was able to purchase it. And we're not just thinking about gang violence or community violence, we're thinking about mental health.
Exactly.
And people that might be having suicidal ideations. This is just, it just feels like we're on the cusp of, we really need to get a handle on this. And I'm curious, how did these ghost guns originate, and how are we going down into those roots of who created this to begin with?
So it was a response to, I mean, it became a very niche problem in California because our gun laws are so strong. But however, if I can buy a gun from Nevada and have it shipped to my house, or it doesn't count as a gun because all these pieces are just chunks of metal to the government. So the problem is partially because we, as Californians, we take pride in trying to limit gun violence, unfortunately. So it's a nationwide issue, but we can actually take action because if I lived in New Jersey, I wouldn't be able to purchase all those parts. They don't ship to New Jersey, and we can do a lot here in the city to work on this ghost gun issue. And we're following suit. We're not going to be able to be the first state to get this done. San Francisco this past week just announced the first ever ghost gun ordinance there. And I would love for San Diego to continue to lead on this issue with them as well.
And why don't they ship to New Jersey?
Because New Jersey has good ghost gun laws. Sorry.
So there is a best practice.
There is a best practice, and we need to follow suit. Correct.
Yeah, it feels, where our commission is charged with well-informed asks on suggested policy change. And I would encourage us as a commission to consider this an action step in a future agenda of becoming much more well-informed about this and having a collective ask. Because years ago, I did research and it shared 67% of children who witness a shooting develop PTSD. Mm-hmm. And so that's just witnesses to shootings, let alone those are, the ripple effect of those that have been impacted by gun violence or tragically losing a loved one. We have a lot of San Diego Compassion Project members here that are on this call and this meeting together. And we know that everyone here knows that ripple effect of how violence, it impacts every single person, every single loved one, cousins, neighbors, friends. And so this is a permeating problem that's insidious. And so I would encourage Pastor Sandoval that we ask at the next agenda that we have an action item. And Stefan, if you would help us with forming that ask, if it's okay if I ask that of Stefan, it would be fantastic to have your guidance on that. And thank you for your profound leadership as an 18-year-old and a senior in high school. It's humbling and profoundly inspiring to learn from you. And I didn't know what microstamping was. So thank you, Commissioner Robinson, I wasn't familiar with that either. So you've been an excellent teacher for all of us here. And thank you so much. Any other questions from commissioners for Stefan?
Hey, Commissioner Brown, it's Randy Grossman from the U.S. Attorney's Office. If I just may say, Stefan, thank you very much for your leadership and your presentation. The U.S. Attorney's Office, as you probably all know, and I know that Dwayne knows because we collaborate with the District Attorney Office in prosecuting gun cases, but also our outreach efforts to the community to prevent those type of crimes. The absence of a serial number on a gun makes it very difficult to enforce the laws, as Stefan knows. And so I just wanted to emphasize how important it is that the president has taken on this new initiative to make these rule changes. I think it's a step in the right direction. And Stefan, if you don't mind, I think we'll probably reach out to you to talk about some ways that maybe we can partner with you and on outreach, because I know we're working with Dwayne's office as well, but your leadership and working with us would be more than welcome. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I can leave my email in the chat as well.
And then Stefan, Commissioner Valladolid shared, thank you. I have heard of more young people carrying guns. I worry as an educator that students may be carrying too.
Yeah, I mean, there's no, I guess, true data on it, except just my own personal knowledge of knowing people who have these. And Pastor Sandoval as well knows people there's videos on YouTube of young people purchasing them and showing other young people saying, hey, look, not only can I buy it, let me show you how I can customize it to make it look cool as well. That's how bad this problem is, that people are focusing on how to make it look cool, which is just horrifying.
Stefan, with that being said, I had a question, but I guess I could go on YouTube to find this out because the information's there. Just curious, how does one make one of these active, and do they just shoot regular bullets? Is it a certain bullet that I'm just curious? I don't know if I missed that part of your presentation, but how does one become active?
It shoots regular bullets. Basically, it's the lower receiver is the only part that is not completely finished. All the other pieces fit in perfectly. You can assemble it same way you could assemble a piece of furniture. The only thing is with this lower receiver, there's just little pieces of plastic that stick up on the top where you can either sand them off, cut them off, drill them off, whatever's easiest. What it was explained to me when I had it in my hands is that I could be watching TV and sand off the top half of it, the part that I needed to sand off, 30 minutes watching TV. And there's on the side that also shows you, it comes in a case where it shows you where you can drill holes in it as well. So all you need is some drill bits to get this done. And you technically could just use a nail or any tool you wanted as well, anything that would fit in that hole, because these things are dummy proof. That's how they're designed. You don't have to make them perfect. You don't have to saw them off perfectly for it to become a fully functioning firearm. Obviously, it's safer if you can do it as perfect as possible, but you don't need to for it to work. And you can also purchase on the same website. There's these things called ghost gunners. Basically, it looks like a little cassette tape. You put the 80% frame into it. You plug that little cassette tape looking thing into your computer, and you can run a program for it to drill perfectly into it. You would literally just have to download the software. You have to say start. You can walk away for an hour, and when you come back, it will be perfectly milled for you. But there's ways you can do it way easier than that with no expert knowledge on the subject.
Thank you.
And I think Commissioner Robinson, who's on mute, has another question, I believe.
My question is, okay, you being a youth and you get the gun, you assemble it, how would you get bullets?
I could go to Arizona. I could have an older friend purchase them for me. I could steal them from my dad's firearm. There's a lot of ways, unfortunately, where I could find ways to find the bullets needed. It's just that the fact that if I actually had the firearm, it makes it so much easier for me to get that last final step as well.
Okay. I was just thinking there has to be a legislation. You just couldn't go into a store and buy bullets.
Yeah,
right?
But I could also buy them off someone off the street as well.
Right. And I think that's the way most of them are doing it if they got it. Yeah.
And we know that some of these gun stores and pop-up gun shows aren't always the best at checking IDs and all that as well. So.
All right. I'm good.
Thank you, Stefan, for that wonderful presentation. And I know you're doing a lot of legislation behind the scenes on this. So if there's anything we can do as a commission to come up with the verbiage to submit a recommendation we can vote on and then send it up the chain of command, we would love to do that as long as all the rest of our commissioners are on board with that as well.
I would love to work with this group, especially because I think this issue primarily or definitely affects this group the most. You guys deal with this issue the most. So I definitely would like to work for us to team up to propose some life-saving legislation here in San Diego. Awesome. Thank you so much, by the way, everyone, for having me as well.
Thank you so much. You have inspired every single person here, and really thank you, Stefan, so much for your leadership. We look forward to a continued collaborative partnership with you and Team Enough.
Thank you, everyone.
So I believe we are ready for our San Diego Police Department. Oh, yes, Pastor.
One more question. I believe Michael Murrow.
Oh, sorry about that.
You're on mute, Michael.
How about that? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes, please.
Great. Good evening, everybody. Mike Morrow from District 2. I apologize. I was having some audio issues as I was coming back from my son's baseball practice. And I just wanted to thank Mr. Abrams for his great presentation. Say congratulations and good luck to Commissioner Robinson. And also welcome the new commissioner, Mr. King. So thank you very much. And I just wanted to make sure that I was on the roll call.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Welcome. So we are ready for an information scan, please, from the San Diego Police Department.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. I'm going to introduce Tony Lessa, who is our investigative lieutenant, who is going to be able to give you all the stats that you want this month. So go ahead, Tony.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Perfect. Okay, so currently we have 2,400 documented gang members in 64 gangs in the city of San Diego to date. So as of the end of April, we did have 2 gang-related homicides. That's the same number we had at this time last year. We had this year, we've had 3 attempt homicides where we had 0 at this point last year. We've had 43 aggravated assaults or assault with a deadly weapon cases compared to 32 last year. And we've had 9 essentially drive-by shootings compared to 2 last year. So we are seeing an increase in violence among gang members this year. And then just to touch a little bit about the guns and the ghost guns, we started tracking ghost guns recovered by the gang unit and guns overall, but we started focusing on ghost guns and stolen firearms. And in 2020, we were averaging as a unit, we were averaging 8.3 guns per month that we were recovering. 1.25, so a little over 1 gun per month were stolen, and 2.2 of the overall guns we're recovering were ghost guns. That was in 2020. In 2021, to date, just at the end of April, we've already recovered 75 firearms. 4 of them were stolen, 24 were ghost guns. So we're averaging 18.8 guns this year compared to 8.3 last year. 1 stolen gun per month this year compared to a little bit more than that last year, but we're recovering 6 ghost guns per month compared to just 2.2 last year. So we are seeing a significant increase in ghost guns. And right now it's trending that we're getting more ghost guns and fewer stolen guns, where it was, you know, we just weren't getting ghost guns. It was a lot of stolen guns, but now it's trending the other way. And that's all the information I have, unless someone has some questions.
Thank you so much. Does any commissioners have any questions? And that is an alarming increase in the ghost guns from last year to now.
Actually, I have a question. You talked about drive-by shootings. This has been something that we haven't seen in our community for over a decade. Does anybody on the commission know why drive-by shootings have now started to come back, and obviously at an alarming rate from 2 last year to 9 this year?
Personally, I believe a lot of it has to do with the COVID-19 pandemic and a lot of the mental health issues that are coming across the board, not just with gangs, but throughout the city, the uptake of shootings. It's not just the neighborhoods and gangs. Even myself, realizing I had mental health issues that I didn't know existed. COVID-19 brought it out of a lot of us. And now the problems we had in the communities existed before COVID-19 in these marginalized communities. It only intensified with this. And as you know, summertime is normally the most violent of times in our community, because that's when kids are out of school. There's nothing for them to do, no engagement, no opportunities and resources for them. So now we leave these kids in a stressful situation, and summer, which is 3 months, just got extended to a year and some change now. So that is exactly why the uptick is happening. And we still have the same problems we had previous to COVID, just expanded. So it's not just an uptick in San Diego, it's across the nation, and it's directly related to the COVID-19 pandemic. So those issues that existed before that still weren't addressed, those root causes, they need to be addressed, they need to be helped, or it's just going to continue. So it's not necessarily just us or That's my opinion and what I've noticed. And it's just it's stressed on everybody, every level, every social, economic status, every community. So that's my opinion.
Yeah. Just want to say I agree with you as well on that, Armand. It's an extended summer, and with no lack of resources, none of the youth being in school, and everybody just outside at once with nothing to do. That's what's been causing the rise in the violence, as far as what I've seen as well.
Thank you, Commissioner King, and thank you, Commissioner Brooks. And I echo your sentiments. I think it's the pandemic has amplified the disparities and social determinants of health that we all know are there, and all of us are on the front line as systems change, striving to change that. And yet it just amplified the mental health permeating through, because we're harmed through relationships and we're healed through relationships. And the very thing we need is each other neurologically. And when people are in isolation and yeah, 2020 was an excruciating year of collective grief and collective loss and collective trauma, and opportunities for collective hope and collective healing and collective transformation. So it's hopeful. I myself am very hopeful in our county in particular, with our County Board of Supervisors unanimously approving that racism is a public health crisis in San Diego County, and that so many of us here are truly leaders on the front line, striving to transform our systems to be healing centered and equity focused. I think there's much more intentionality in our county now of what I like to say, grassroots to grass tops, micro to macro, so in a socio-ecological model, and that's across every sector. And there are absolutely leaders in every single sector in our county. We are ground zero here. We have the largest public health study in our nation right here in San Diego County with the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study. Over 440,000 people have now gone through that public health study at Kaiser Permanente in La Jolla. And when we look at the Office of Surgeon General, Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris wanting to reduce by 50% in one generation the impact of adverse childhood experiences, and she's doing that through the ACEs Aware campaign, and we have pockets of that all the way up and down California. So it is a really hopeful time that we can really have equity-focused, healing-centered, sustainable systems change, and that's because of every single person on this call and hundreds and thousands of us that are out in the communities doing the deep-rooted work of really building trust between systems and systems they serve and the families who are served by those systems. So we have a lot of work to do. Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris needs all hands on deck, and truly thank you to every single one of you here for being those leaders on the front line.
And if I may, again, this is Elizabeth Bustos, and before I move on, welcome, Armand, to the commission family. Couldn't be more delighted, and you know, again, just hearing your voice just really strengthens our conversation and future conversations as well. I just wanted to chime in on behalf of the Executive Office for Health and Human Services Agency. And really my first reflection was, first and foremost, let's just take a look at this through the COVID-19 lens. And really taking a look at really the decimation of our communities, inclusive of the upticks in violence that are taking place, reported or non-reported. And I just throwing out an invitation for everybody here on this forum. You know, I really would love to be able to have a conversation with you about how to center this conversation with the HHSA Executive Office, within the HHSA Executive Office, and make some, and bring forth some solid recommendations as to how to move forward. You know, we talk about, thank you, dear Dana, you know, grass tops, you know, grassroots, grass tops. We've all been, you know, monitoring and listening to the voices of the current Board of Supervisors. Clearly, equity, racial justice, it is not an accident, okay, that finally, you know, racism, a public health imperative, violence. So these are phenomenal opportunities, for community stakeholders, certainly commissioners and partners, to coalesce in one voice. So just putting that out there as an invitation, and also to my fellow colleagues from the county. I see. Thank you, Ruben, for being here. But welcoming a smaller yet impactful conversation to strategically bring these elements to the attention of the Board of Supervisors, certainly to Health and Human Services Agency executive. So thank you.
So Commissioner Booth, oh, Ruben, you went off. Would you like to share, please?
I don't want to interrupt. I just, I agree with the sense of urgency that I'm hearing from the group, and in agreement that there is more that can be done. And I know that the county's focus is on how we're engaging with communities and meeting those needs of those youth who might be at risk and in need of employment and in need of engagement during those critical hours of the day when this kind of thing occurs. And there are studies that support the importance and the benefits of summer jobs and how that shifts the focus to more prevention and can help to reduce crime. They've seen that in Chicago as well. So we do know all that, but I also, at the same time, don't want to reduce it to only communities of color, because this is something that we're hearing is happening nationally. And so I think we do need to have a bigger conversation, as you pointed out, Elizabeth. I'm sure that we could come up with some good solutions, but what we want to do, I think, is really focus on how are we engaging or not engaging, and in particular, what do our colleagues with lived experiences and our credible messenger community mentors need in order to do their jobs? Because as government, I've come to the realization quite some time ago that we cannot do this alone, and we can't arrest our way out of these social issues. And so with the help of the community, we can address the needs of the community by supporting them and empowering them and really meeting them where they are in terms of addressing whatever it may be that's plaguing the community. In this case, we're talking ghost guns.
Thank you so much, Assistant Chief Leyva. And
Dana? Sorry for interrupting. I do wanted to ask if everyone's okay with bumping Bishop Bowser up, because he does have a church service to run tonight. And we not only wanted to bring awareness about the ghost guns through our youth and community members, we also wanted to bring on a solution that we currently are, that we have right now with Bishop Bowser dealing with providing mentoring specifically to cohorts of individuals, youth and adults, that have a gun charge on the record, so that we can provide supportive services to them specifically. And so Bishop Bowser is going to talk about the strategic funding that was allocated for this pilot program. And if any other folks that are around the table want to contribute, by all means, we have a fiscal available already for that. And to make it sustainable, whether you have participants, whether it's through the Probation Department, San Diego Police Department, U.S. Attorney's Office, that may fit the criteria for us to serve, we're going to have this pilot program rolling out in the next couple of weeks. We're solidifying the last final details on that. So if everyone's okay, if we can bump Bishop Bowser.
So Bishop, we look forward to hearing an update on Seasons of Peace, No Shots Fired. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dana, and the commission. Good evening to everyone, and thank you for having me. It's a privilege and honor to come before you once again. One of the things I did want to say, just to follow up with some of the things that you were talking about with the ghost guns before I get into that, because all this does interlink and tie together, is that I would encourage you all to reach out to Dr. Sid Martinez at USD. He's done a lot of research on this. Back in 2017, he the one that brought the ghost guns to my attention. You know, I think he was doing work up in Sacramento, and he was working here in San Diego too. But he when first started talking to me about the ghost guns when I wasn't hearing anything about it, and that was back in 2017 with that. And they was talking about the 3D and all those different type of things also. So I would encourage you to do that, because he done some research a couple of years ago on guns here in San Diego, and specifically just dealing with gangs and those who were arrested for guns and things like that. And one of the things that he found is that 70% of guns that they're finding these guys with came from residential burglaries in folks' homes. And then about 30% were transported into San Diego from states that have more lax laws on guns. And I believe that the ghost guns will fall right in there also when you talk about what's happening now, leads from talking with SDPD and Chief Nislight and Chief Moulton in El Cajon and Chief Kennedy in Chula Vista. Have had detailed conversation with them about guns, ghost guns, what's been happening lately. And there's from the report that you got from SDPD, the same thing is happening in all of our cities, locally and nationally, when you talk about it. And right now it's really at a place where there's one of the only things you're going to be able to do is change minds and hearts, right? Because these guys are not going to give up their guns. I'm going to tell you that now. You could threaten them with 10 years, they're still not going to give them up. And so we have to try other approaches in order to reach these guys, because, you know, a lot of them are scared. A lot of them don't feel protected. And because everybody have guns now, everybody's scared. The moment you get in an argument, they go for their gun because they don't know if the other person is going to go for their gun. And a lot of this comes from arguments. Some of it is gangs, drugs, all different types of things. But it's really happening. What I would say is that from what I've been observing, at least from the gang perspective, is that gang violence was rising even before COVID hit. So it was rising in 2019, it was rising in 2018, and it fluctuated, right? But it was already an uptick in it when that was happening. I think, Pastor Sandoval, when was it? It was around, I'll say 2019, when me and Pastor Sandoval started having conversations about, it's always been with the Black gangs drive-by shootings, but with the Latino gangs, there was they couldn't do the drive-bys, right? But we started seeing that. We were perplexed, like what Mario was talking about. We were perplexed, like, hey, what's going on here with the Latino gangs? They're drive-by. They're not just, you know, getting out of the car, walking up and things like that. They're actually doing drive-bys and so on. So we know that has shifted and has really gotten worse in 2020 and then into this year. And so I would say, you know, look at that and consider that, because I know nationally they're doing research on this, and they're trying to figure out what is the uptick, right? Why, when the COVID broke out, what happened? I believe what was said here is true. And also having conversations with folks that do the work like I do throughout the state and throughout the nation. One of the things I'm also hearing is that when COVID broke out, a lot of the work that we do, we have been confined to our homes and not being able to get out and do the face-to-face, get out to the crime scene, get out to the hospitals to work on disrupting the violence. And that's happening everywhere: LA, Oakland, Stockton, Richmond, all the various places, New Jersey, all these different places that they're experiencing the same thing. But in some cities, and I try to get it done here, but in some cities, they did classify violence disruptors as essential workers. And I think we got, maybe the commission could take on a task like that and start looking at that, so that when these type of things happen, we can get out there and get to the scene, and even work something out where we can get into hospitals and things like that. So I just wanted to mention that and talk about that. But with the programming for the No Shots Fired, as I believe I explained a little bit the last time, well, we call it No Shots Fired because it's a branch off from the program, the national program that's called Seasons of Peace. Reverend Jeffrey Brown out of Boston, who also helped implement ceasefire back in the 90s and so on, is the one that created the program Seasons of Peace. And Seasons of Peace is basically what it means: a season of peace, where you try to get folks to agree to a ceasefire, sort of, you know, for lack of a better way of saying it, for a certain length of time, whether it's a month, whether it's 2 months or whatever. And so one of the things that they talk about in that, that's where I draw the name No Shots Fired from, is because what Reverend Brown kept saying is that, you know, during this time, we want no shots fired. And so that's why we use the term no shots fired, centered around disrupting the violence and helping folks who want to turn their lives around. So when we talk about this, and so we use the term no shots fired instead of season of peace, even though you hear say season of peace, so people can understand kind of what we're talking about. But one of the things I wanted to talk about is the budget, because I believe we're almost there, right? I believe the MOU is right now in purchasing. I believe they're looking at the MOU between the city and South Bay Community Services, which they will be kind of like the fiscal agent, and then that funding will be funneled down to my organization, to Fat Outreach, and because they wanted an organization that had the capacity and had a good track record, right? Especially if you're starting out with something new, you want it done right at the beginning. And so South Bay Community Service, SBCS, is going to do that. We had a sticking point with the budget, and because a great portion of this budget was going to go to individuals who we had in our group meetings, right? Or individuals that we was going to be working with, because what the idea was, is talking with Chief Nislight and Council Member Stepp's office. One of the things we were looking at is getting individuals that were getting arrested for guns. Of course, working together, we would identify these individuals and then offer them, right, help and support. But with the understanding that they have to make a commitment to change their lives, right, and start working on change, right? Set up a life map and start working on that life map, demonstrating that they have changed their life around. They're working to turn their lives around. And so we're still working on that part of it. But one of the sticking pieces is that, and this same thing happened in some of the other places where Advanced Peace was doing this, is they're saying you're paying guys not to shoot somebody. And it's easy to say that and then, kind of dismiss the program, but that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is we're offering support services to these individuals. And so they do it, right? Probation does it. DA's office does it. The county does it. Different agencies already doing it, giving incentives to individuals that need support and need help. We just got to get the city to understand this. And so one of the things that I had to do is I met with South Bay, because I didn't realize, SBCS, because I didn't realize they were already doing these programs with probation and others. And it's the same thing as what I was talking about doing. So what you do is, if a person, some things you can do with gift cards, like if they need gas, right? You give them a gift card. I believe probation calls it flex, right? Or something like that. You give them gift cards. You give them, if they need clothes, right? You give them a gift card for that. But if it's more than that, like let's say individuals struggling to get their rent paid, need help with rent, then we help them pay their rent, but we go to the property manager or the owner and pay it directly to them, write a check to them. If we give them gift cards, they have to come back with receipts to show that they actually spent the money on food or on clothing, right? And we'll go with them to help them to support that. If they get a job and they need uniforms or equipment or whatever, we get that for them to help them with that, right? So what it's called wraparound funds. So whatever they need, we wrap around them and give them that support that they need, in agreement that they will be working on a life map. We don't just give it out. They have to demonstrate and show that they are trying to change and they're working on their lives, right? And so I believe we kind of came to an understanding at our last meeting, I think it was last week, with Chief Nislight, and he agreed. He just said, we got to call it something else, because what he was hearing is that we're paying guys not to shoot anybody. I said, well, we didn't come up with that. Somebody else came up with that term, because we never used that. So we're hoping that we'll be able to get around that, because that's where a huge sum is. About 35% of the budget is just going to be going to overhead, right? For a consultant that we have and for a fiscal agent fees. And so a lot of it, or what we're trying to do is have these fundings to support these individuals. And one of the terms that we're going to be using is peacemakers, not credible messengers or San Diego community mentors, because sometimes you get it confused. And one of the things I just want to say about that, based on research and study, is that mentoring by itself doesn't work, right? And so you have to have either have a focus, a specific focus, or you have to have what Pastor Sandoval always puts, wraparound, right? They have to be included with a lot of other different type of support services for individuals. And so one of the things that we're going to be doing with the No Shots Fired is we're going to have what we call peacemakers, and they will be our street outreach workers and our violence disruptors. There's several pieces to this when you talk about No Shots Fired. One is violence disruption, what we've always been doing through CAS, getting out to the crime scene, getting out to the hospitals, talking with individuals in the community, reaching out to disrupt the violence, right? And then of course, hospital interventions. We will be still doing that through this. But one piece that, and I have to explain this part because the focus deterrence, that we just took one piece out of that, not the whole thing, because focus deterrence, you know, it's kind of like, you know, you have all the community come together and say, hey, stop the shooting or you go to jail. That's not what we want to do, of course, because the focus deterrent is going to be another other way. It's like through STPD, through the DA's office. And I hope maybe the U.S. Attorney, we can get you all involved too, because a lot of times when the DA drop those gun charges, the the federal government picks up those charges. So I think there have to be some coordination, collaboration in that area to make sure that guys that are referred to us, right, that if the offer is, hey, you go through this program, you show that you change and so on, we'll drop the charges or whatever you're going to offer. And then that's how we will get the referrals. So folks, the term be focused specifically on guns, right? Whether it's ghost gun or whether it's some gun that was legally put together but stolen or person possessing it in a illegal way. And so our focus will be guns and working on these individuals to help them turn their lives around. But because a lot of times what end up happening is that when you're helping people, many times they say, oh, well, he's still, you know, I saw him on Facebook hanging with his homeboys. Well, the key what we're doing is dealing with the guns and the violence, right? We're not here to tell them to get out of the gang. We're not here to solve all gang crimes. I mean, we got millions and millions of dollars coming into the city, county, San Diego, and we still got that problem, right? So don't expect us to be able to do that with just the little funds that we're doing. But with what we're getting, we can focus. And that's what we want to do. We want to focus on guns specifically. That's what we're focusing on. And so we'll have the street outreach, we'll have the focus deterrence, we'll have hospital interventions, and we'll have violence disruption. And then through those individuals that's referred to us that we can work with in groups and individual level, help them get a life map. That's where we lead them through behavioral self-change, right? With the CBT model, trans-theoretical model, and motivational interviewing, which it's been proven to work. Everybody's using it, it works. And we know that it would be highly effective. It's been proven to work when you're dealing with the issues that we're dealing with. And so that's what we're trying to do. So we meet every other week. So hopefully we'll kind of know where the MOU is by next week. And we'll be able to nail down some more specifics in the budget once we can come to an agreement on how the money will be spent and how the money will be used and so on. Because it's very important for me, if we're going to have individuals to come that we work with, we have to offer them some kind of support. Otherwise, to me, it's in vain to do that, right? And so at least that's where I'm coming from. We'll still do the other pieces if that's what they want, the violence disruption, hospital interventions, and all those type of things. But if we really want to help individuals, then we have to have support services for them to help them while they're trying to change and turn their lives around, whatever that might be, based on their life map. So I'm hoping that, and just closing with this, I'm hoping that the DA's office, I did have a conversation with Assistant District Attorney Dwayne Woodley, and we had Amanda. She said she's going to reach out to you to make sure that you be in some of the meetings. I also said that probation, but I think they're still trying to figure out who should be in these meetings because it's going through a transition. So hopefully Ruben, they will hire someone in that place where we can do that and so on. But that's kind of it. So just want the other piece is the U.S. Attorney's Office. I'm hoping that we can start having some conversation with you all too, because it's very important to be involved in this, because when it comes to guns, sometimes you all pick those charges up versus the DA's office. And that's pretty much it, Pat Sandoval, for now.
Bishop, this is Ruben Leyva. I appreciate what you've said, and please know that regardless, probation is in this with you, because this is the work that we need to do. It's the work that we need to continue doing.
Right.
And so this is the next iteration of where we're going in San Diego. And so we will meet you where you need us.
Thank you.
But I want to, validate in my own way, not necessarily all the aspects of the program, because I haven't seen necessarily how it will be tailored for San Diego. But what we do know, again, based on research, is the power that goes along with an adult playing a positive role in the life of a youth. And you really can't, I think it was Harvard University that in 2015 was looking at that and talking about every child who winds up doing well had at least one stable or committed relationship with a supportive adult. And so this is what you're talking about. You're talking about forming some relationships. And in order for that to occur, you're going to need some incentives in order to make that happen. And so we're doing the very same thing in custody, as you indicated. Probation is following what we call the positive youth development model out of Georgetown University. And it's no different than what us adults want. However, we're looking at it through the lens of the youthful mind. As adults, we don't want to be written up for being late to work, but we want to be early to work because they're going to have a raffle. And so we want to win that, don't we? And so that's how the youth think. If it's something good in it for them, they want to show up and be a part of that. And so we know that the punitive correctional model has limitations, it has restrictions. There is a place for it, a time and a place for it, but it doesn't speak to all the needs of those youth who are ready to turn their lives around, but don't have the opportunity. And so what we want to be about is an opportunity at an opportunity. And that's called equity, isn't it?
Yeah.
There you go.
Absolutely.
So,
if I can chime in, I just want to say thank you, Bishop Bowser. And just remembering back as you're speaking, I think it was almost 11 years ago, before I jumped into this fight of saving lives, I had picked up a reader and had read an article about you. And you were one of the main inspirations for me getting into this work and launching an organization. So thank you. And with even that being said, and thinking about, that's a decade of me learning about your work. You've been doing this way longer than that.
Yeah.
And for this work to really, really happen, it has to be funding for this. And whether you call it community mentors, credible messengers, peace agents, whatever the title is, there are qualified people that are in the community that have direct impact and can make these changes. So until county, city, probation office, U.S. Attorney's Office, Health and Human Services, all the power players that are on here right now find a home in their budget to take care of these groups that are grassroots and not middleman the money, but get it directly to the people who can make the difference, that'll make this gang commission, actually impactful in these streets. That needs to happen. That is priority number one. And Bishop Bowser, you've been needing this funding to do this work that you do for over a decade. So recognizing that, and it has to happen. So until we do that, we're just playing, and so thank you for your inspiration and staying in the fight, because you could have bowed out a long time ago and just said, I'm just going to take care of my church, but you have not done that. And you're still out here working with the community. And I just appreciate you, and to all of us that do have influence in these different entities, we have to break bread. We have to find this money and fund the people that are actually boots on the ground and can change this. And you know, we've had gun buybacks since the 80s. We've been pulling over people and recovering guns forever. It's not a deficit on guns. You know, I myself, I'm in Spring Valley right now. There's 10 people I can call within a mile radius and get a gun right now if that's what I wanted to do. So the guns aren't a problem. The kids are just carrying guns, and I deal with them, and they're saying I'd rather be caught with it than without it, even if they don't plan on shooting anybody or committing a crime, because they know the guns are out there and people are dying. They're trying to get more guns. So that's not solving the problem, and just arresting our way out the problem. We've tried that for decades. That hasn't worked yet. So we need to definitely look at other approaches, and definitely need to fund the people who can do the best work out here in the community, regardless of what the title is. Thank you, Bishop Bowser.
And thank you, Armand. I really appreciate that. And let me just say this about Paving Great Futures. My son, of course, you know, is one of the, I think it's three of them, Barry and Armand, and my son Jay are with Paving Great Futures, but they have done an excellent job in helping me and helping Cass throughout the years, right? I can, you know, with their shootings, I've seen it, right? Where I reach out to them, talk to those guys, you know, and they come back, say they agreed that they're going to drop it. They're not going to be any more shooting or retaliations and so on, right? Times I've been in the hospitals where I'm talking with individuals that don't want to open up to me. He just been shot, gang related, and I pick up and call one of them, right? And immediately they start opening up and talking with me and allowing me to minister to them and give them the support that they need. So, you know, it's groups like Paving Great Futures, that the work that they do, a lot of work, different things out there. But whenever I call on them and ask them for help in whatever area, they especially because I'm dealing with the violence, they get out there and do what they can to help out and support that. And so I really appreciate you all too, and thank you for all the support that you guys been doing with us, with Cass and so on.
Thank you so much, Assistant Chief Ruben Leyva, for what you shared. Thank you, Commissioner King, for what you eloquently shared, and how inspiring for you, Bishop Bowser, to hear Commissioner King share his heart with you and the article in the Reader over a decade ago. And thank you for your phenomenal work. I've had the honor of knowing you for several years too. And it is so true what Commissioner King shared. This is the public safety model is about building trust.
That's right.
And people, when they don't feel safe, you know, that's the epicenter of all of this. And so perceived or real. And so for all of us here as leaders, it is imperative that we have equity, like Assistant Chief Leyva shared, that we have equity and we fund the grassroots that are boots on the ground, that are out there building trust, because they live in the community, they look like the community, they've experienced what the community, they've been impacted by whatever systems induced trauma or whatever system impacted them or their family. And San Diego County is poised to lift this up and have sustainable policy and systems change. And in order for that to happen, to be sustainable, there's got to be funding shifts. There has to be. So it is an imperative. And so thank you so much. We know you're gonna be leaving us shortly for your next commitment this evening with your church. But thank you so much for being here, Bishop Bowser.
God bless everyone. It's a pleasure being here.
And Commissioner Bustos, I wanted to add on to what you had articulated previously about having an opportunity of bringing interested commissioners together, and so twofold. One is for Pastor Sandoval. I know, and you know, we all honor process. Process is very important, and anytime there's 3 or more commissioners together, we are in violation of the Robert Rule of Order. So not sure how that would work logistically. We want to honor that. And the other aspect is I would be thrilled to meet with interested individuals that on moving this forward with the executive office of HHSA. And I have an ask that we ensure that in that meeting, we have representation from as many of the 18 reservations here in San Diego County. We have more reservations in San Diego County than any reservation in the United States. We have 4 Native American tribes in San Diego County, Kumeyaay Nation, Payum Kawichum, Laseño, and Capeño, and Capillo. And so it is really important that if we are truly going to be equity focused, we are on unceded land here in Kumeyaay Nation. And so that is an ask that I have, that we are very intentional about bringing this together with each other and really integrating this Indigenous wisdom that is available for all of us.
And so if I may, Commissioner Brown, your wisdom is so on point. Okay, so speaking a little bit out of school here, no different than my dear friend and chair, Dr. Hood, I'm equal parts respect and am a little bit mystified by the Brown Act. So look to you, Pastor Sandoval, to partner with us and to be able to create a space for these continued conversations. Keeping it real month to month is just that, month to month. So welcome your mentoring and your shepherding as to, with all the bells and whistles of the Brown Act and other, influencing factors that we need to be accountable to create safe passage for conversations such as this.
Absolutely. And I think we can use the committees that we currently have, the existing committees, and add on the agenda so that we can have that safe platform to do that, as long as the chairs of those committees are cool with it, and then bring it back to the commission. And then we'll be dotting our I's and crossing our T's with that.
And thank you for that. And just related, okay, is that I did want to extend an invitation to not only the commission, but everybody here in this esteemed body this evening to present to the County of San Diego's Leon L. Williams Human Relations Commission. Okay, I've had the privilege of staffing that body for the last 9 months or so. And their call to action is really equity, racial justice. And for anybody that's here, whether it's commission related or well, everything is really commission related, but certainly, Stefan from earlier, anything that you would like to inform and activate and bring to the attention of the commission, that is an opportunity. That is clearly an opportunity. I'm happy to provide with honoring the Brown Act, happy to provide additional context as to the Human Relations Commission, but do consider that a direct line to matters of the community. Also consider the newly minted County of San Diego Office of Equity and Racial Justice, whom I think I'm hoping most of you know. The director of that is Andrew Strong, and perhaps in the not so distant future, I'm hoping that there's an opportunity where this body can invite him and allow him to present his vision, which is really solid, but also an invitation to partner with community stakeholders. So I'll just pause there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Commissioner Bustos. It's wonderful. All those opportunities are wonderful. So we'd like to open this up for an information scan from San Diego County Probation, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown, and thank you, Commissioner Bustos. Good words. I support and echo really the weaving and the integration that needs to occur. So I look forward to and I'm optimistic about the future. But with that being said, we have with probation 2 updates. We speak to one from the lens of the adult services, and then to the other lens of what our youth are doing. I think last time we may have started with the adults. And so this time, let's go ahead and start with the youth. Division Chief Tabitha Wilburn, I see you. I see Supervising Probation Officer Ron Van. I'm not sure if who else you have to speak on the youth.
Thank you, Assistant Chief Leva, and thank you, the commissioners. Tonight it will be Ronald Van providing an update to everyone. Just want everybody to know the numbers he'll be reflecting may seem like they're low numbers, but our numbers are low as a result of juvenile numbers as a, overall are declining, which is a good thing for us that are not having as many youth on probation. But we do see that the risk level of the youth are a lot higher. So Ron will explain to you some of the programs and the referrals that we have been providing for our youth, trying to help some of the gang issues that we're having in the community, get them the resources that they need. We've been getting assistance from resilience and achievement centers. We continue to utilize those programs. And as you'll see from him, the numbers will, like I said, not look like big numbers, but every little step counts, as you'll know. Ron, if you don't mind, Supervisor Van, reflecting those numbers for achievement centers and resilience.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Wilburn. Supervisor Ron Van with probation. I supervise the gang unit and the juvenile high risk. Currently, our achievement center has 15 youth participating with 2 referrals pending. The choice program has 20 attending with 1 referral. Our youth empowerment program has 5 active youth. 1 was discharged for non-participation and 1 new referral. And Project Aware has 4 active mentors or mentees with their mentors. Officers continue to refer youth as needed to these programs and encourage them to take part throughout the program. Officers have begun to get back out in the field more often so we can interact with our youth face-to-face and figure out what services they need so we can try to make sure they're getting connected to the right services for the things they need, whether it be mental health, substance abuse, working with school, or whatever they need out there at this time.
I will also add that we have approved our 3rd achievement center. For those that don't know, we talk about, again, those critical hours after school and achievement centers offering a safe haven where some of that mentorship and those services can be rendered, tutoring, even a warm meal or snack. We can also engage with the youth around career and technical education and career readiness and some of those soft skills. And so we have opened a 3rd achievement center. The first one was in North County, and we also have one in the central area, but now we have one in La Mesa for East County. Is that correct, Tabitha?
Correct, Assistant Chief.
Okay. So we're excited to be able to, again, through the lens of equity, be able to provide more youth with opportunities to engage in some of those pro-social activities and be out of harm's way. We're also looking at, what it would take to open up those opportunities to some of the siblings of the youth who are on probation, because we know that when we visited Washington, D.C. and other locations that were doing this type of work, it was a best practice to involve the families in the healing process of the youth that will be on probation. And so you might see a sibling also joining in the silk screening course. We saw that going on in the DC area, or even a parent of a youth in a cooking class with the youth. And so being a part of that process and supporting their youth, their sibling, their child, in developing a different way of thinking and moving forward beyond this poor decision that wound them up on probation. So we're excited about what we can do and what the possibilities will bring with our achievement centers here moving forward. And as the summer is upon us, we anticipate some of those numbers going up. So we're poised for that. Now our adult services report out. I see Division Chief Jorge Gonzalez. I also see Supervising Probation Officer Maritza Rodriguez. I see Officer Ernesto Garcia. I'm not sure who's up.
Thank you, Ruben. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having us today to provide a brief update regarding some of our efforts and initiatives as we have been going through a process of reassessment, restructuring, and a lot of internal dialogue regarding how to better prepare ourselves for the post-COVID expectations, not only from our internal processes, but it also in response to the community's needs, to the issues that are going on around the country and the expectations of the role of probation, from the court system all the way down to every community member that we interact with. And so what we're gonna do today is provide you one of our more pressing items that we have on our agenda, which is a transitional age youth pilot project that we are initiating. And we also have an update from the gang suppression caseload officer, Ernesto Garcia. So I'm gonna start with Supervisor Maritza Garcia, Rodriguez, excuse me, who will be providing us an update regarding the TAG caseload. Maritza?
Hello, everyone. So initially here in Central Division, we are starting the Transitional Age Youth caseload. Officer Jennifer Simon will be managing the caseload in this region. We are currently working on identifying cases within this region to be part of this program. We are providing wraparound services, connecting them to resources, and also having clinicians meet with the clients that we've already identified face-to-face as soon as possible. So that way we can get them the services that they need, whether it's mental health, housing, and also substance abuse. But besides those critical needs, we're also identifying the other needs, which could be housing, employment, education, and what would that really look like in the future? How could we sustain them so that way they're not going back into the justice system to reduce the rate of recidivism? And so our main focus is to continue the hard work that a lot of the officers are doing now, but focusing on population between the ages of 18 to 24, and then hopefully expand throughout the regions of within San Diego County as well. And then I'll go ahead and pass it on to Ernesto Garcia. If you guys have any programs that do meet that criteria, please send me some information. We are collaborating. We are meeting with individuals who could provide services for us so that we can connect the clients that we're working with to the programs that are out there in the communities. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Ernesto Garcia. So I just wanted to talk briefly about AB 1950. We continue to process AB 1950 cases. I believe the last time I checked department-wide, we processed approximately 1,400 cases. Regarding to the gang caseload, I'm usually at 45 to 50 cases. I've lost approximately 20 cases due to AB 1950, so those individuals are no longer on probation. Also, just to give an update with the gang caseload, what we're doing is we continue to work with clinicians at our office. So what we do is we work together, we formulate a case plan, which allows us to refer and link those individuals to services in the community, such as a CBT program, mental health, drug testing, drug treatment, and any other services that they may need. So I believe it started as a pilot program, and now we're starting to roll this program department-wide in North County and South Bay and East County as well. Thank you.
Thank you for that good report. Again, just as a reminder, AB 1950 is the shortened term of probation, with most offenses being no more than 2 years probation. at any time. And so, as you know, probation is an alternative to incarceration, and that our probation officers are trained experts and prepared to manage the trauma and the needs of our justice-involved clients. We're collaborators, we're connectors to services. And so that's when we lean on our providers and our community partners to help us get the clients the services they need. And when you put all that together, you have our definition of how we affect community safety. Okay. Any questions for probation?
I had a question. This is Commissioner Mario Valladolid. In talking about the AB 1950, if a person's term is up and they haven't successfully, I guess, completed their requirements, do they still get off probation, or what is the, what happens? Because if their term is up, so that's the question.
Jorge, you want to take that?
Yeah, so thank you for the question. That is one that we have had a lot of experience with recently, because what happens is that we actually have a screening process, and we work with the district attorney to make sure that depending on the nature of the non-compliance, if it's of a minor technical sort of level, it's really not something that we would oppose. Our effort, our goal is to encourage as many individuals to understand the opportunity that they have. And along with us advising them that there are some concerns, we also let them know that we do not stand in the way of, we're not in opposition, but we do want to make a point to every individual who is eligible that this could have been something that could have stopped the process, but we're not going to get in the way. So generally, at the screening process, we make a decision as a department. Again, this is more towards a progressive sort of position that we're taking to incentivize people to do better and to make better decisions. But ultimately, we do not have an issue with things that are of a lesser technical level for violations.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Maritza Rodriguez, Commissioner Bustos asked if you'd be interested in hosting a vaccine event.
And forgive me, this is Elizabeth again. I actually hit the return button before. This conversation, I meant to have this at the very end. This conversation is really about protecting life. So in efforts for the County of San Diego to expand, vaccinations and educate community stakeholders on vaccine, anybody, any organization who is interested in exploring hosting a vaccination event, please click on that, speak to me directly, and we'll make it happen. I mean, we know who the communities are who are decimated by COVID-19. Okay, now this is who we're talking about here, our families, our friends, okay, but also in the future. A lot of us may think, or some of us may think that, COVID may be in the rearview mirror, okay, but what is not in the rearview mirror, is, the economic impacts, the mental health, the unreported violence that is taking place. So again, from a public health lens, we can't really move unless we are as healthy as we can be. And so I'm just putting that out there, and forgive me, Commissioner Brown, if I'm out of school and I didn't mean to hit that return button, but this is where I am right now. Invitation to everybody.
Thank you, Commissioner Bustos. And thank you so much, Assistant Chief Ruben Leyva, and to your youth division with Tabitha and Ronald, your adult division with Jorge and Ernesto, and and Maritza, and it's just so profoundly uplifting. I've heard over the years, heard the wonderful transition of probation in so many things I'm hearing tonight are you're humanizing probation. And it's so beautiful and inspirational to know what you shared, Jorge, when Commissioner Valladolid asked that question, and doing everything you can. A compassionate accountability, everybody should be held accountable. None of this is not about people being held accountable. Rather, how do we do that with compassion? Because we know hurt people, and we're harmed in relationships and we're healed in relationships, and all of the strategies that are in place with wrapping around and the community resource directory and looking for more partners, and really doing it from the lens of the youth centric, the family centered, and what are the needs. It's like, it's so beautiful how the Maslow hierarchy of needs are front and center and at the forefront of all of those needs assessments. So any other commissioners have any other questions for our San Diego County Probation Department? Okay, wonderful. That's so uplifting. So we are at our wonderful Commissioner Bustos for an update, please, on the Communication and Outreach Committee, please.
And thank you very much. I will be brief. I think I just received my marching orders just in this space. Certainly, you know, raising awareness about the ghost guns, certainly raising awareness about the good work of Bishop Bowser, and of course, probation. What I would ask is, this is a shout out and really an invite. I would love to be able to partner with Armand King, others here, certainly Assistant Chief Leva at the table, you know, to really help craft communications. You know, I am happy to shepherd. I am happy to, you know, to lift the voices, but you are the experts in articulating the messaging. And so please, please, I ask for your assistance in this. Thank you, Pastor Sandoval, for your commitment in really protecting our communications. Because, you know, we understand that we function within the context of a government city entity, but at the same time, we know we can keep our conversations and our communications between ourselves and community stakeholders real. So please, I invite you to please join me in crafting stories. It's the narratives. It's the narratives that you will contribute that will really help to save lives. So thank you for that.
You know, I'm not exactly sure how to get my hands on this, but I happened to see something online, which was sort of a culmination of a number of the folks on the ground doing the work with the lived experience that made sort of a montage of some of those stories that you're talking about, Elizabeth. It'd be nice if someone could share that with you. It was a video montage, and it spoke to a lot of this work that you're interested in learning more about, that's been happening here in San Diego for some time. So it's exciting that you're right there. And this seems to be a relatively new video. So I'm not sure who might be able to share that with Elizabeth.
Is that the institutionalizing the community mentor movement in San Diego? I'll email you the link, Commissioner Bustos. Thank you, Assistant Chief Leva.
And thank you for that, because here at the county, I mean, I will let you know, we all know we have really solid racial justice and equity directives from our board of supervisors. Okay, but we need your help with operationalizing those. Okay, government is government. Okay, and we need your help in operationalizing those and putting a face. And that's why those narratives are really going to matter. So thank you for that, Commissioner Leva, and let's keep this conversation going.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Commissioner Bustos. And I am going to share a screen. I just want to show one picture for the youth committee. And We met, let's see, it's this one. So we met, we meet the third Tuesday, 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And this is a picture of our recent youth committee. And we had District 7 City Council Member Raul Campillo joined us, and Vic, I believe, is his chief of staff for District 7. And we are doing a partnership with District 7 and having a youth panel on Thursday, June 24th, 3:30 to 4:30. It'll be through the vein of the youth committee of the commission. He joined us, Councilmember Campillo joined us that day right after City Council adjourned for the day, and he stayed for a whole hour, which was absolutely incredible. And so our ask was to have a youth panel with him, and that has been approved through his office. And so it's going to be an exciting collaboration between Community Rap, Stephen Abrams, we would be thrilled if you would consider joining us, just saying. So it's through Community Rap and Youth Voice, and Say San Diego is putting together a youth coalition. It's with Dr. Tezeru. Oh, thank you, Stephen. Absolutely wonderful. Dr. Tezeru Tashome from the Juvenile Justice Commission, and 16 Strong Project, which is out of the East Coast. And so all of us together are bringing together youth that have been hand selected, who are, but transparent and inclusive. Other youth can certainly be there to observe. I think the Elevated, some of the students at Sarah High School and the Elevated Club are going to be there to observe the process. We chose the youth that we chose because they are familiar with the impact of trauma. They're familiar with ideally adverse childhood experiences and building resilience. They're comfortable speaking in public on vulnerable topics. They're comfortable with a call to action with an ask on solution before a high-level elected official. And so this composite of Say San Diego, Youth Voice, Community Rap, the Youth Committee, 16 Strong Project, the Juvenile Justice Commission, is youth from there, that it's a multi-generational modeling with adults. We're mentoring, if you will. However, it's the youth that will be engaging directly with Councilmember Campillo. We know he is passionate about an ask of an office for children and youth in the city of San Diego, with a budget line item allocated to it. So it'll be a symbiotic conversation with Councilmember Campillo from the youth's lens on what's imperative with an office for children and youth representing the city of San Diego, as well as the question that the youth will be asked to share their hearts is a very simple question, but very, very poignant and profound. The youth will be asked, what is something that's broken your heart, or somebody you love and you want your voice to make it change? And that lens, which academically you could say that is a specific aim on social justice, youth that are impacted by systems-induced trauma, systemic racism, poverty, social determinants of health, they know what pain is. They know what it feels like to live in poverty, be undocumented, a refugee, a loved one incarcerated, deported, groomed for human trafficking, domestic violence, drugs, drinking, sexual abuse, etc. And so we're thrilled that Councilmember Campillo has agreed to meet with us. And if any of you have youth that you would like to be engaged in this process, please reach out to me. We'd be very grateful to have them come and just observe what does it sound like, look like, feel like, to have the one from 16 Strong Project is Aparna, who is a sophomore in high school and absolutely a subject matter expert on adverse childhood experiences. Very eloquent writer, very prolific speaker. Stefan, you're 18 years old, a senior in high school. Jessica Rivera, some of you may know from Youth Voice. She's now 20. She's presented on ACE of Science to people literally all over the world that came here through pre-COVID through San Diego Diplomacy Council, and the opportunities for high-level leaders, European delegate. Many of them were at the Mid-City Police Division. So we're really excited about the opportunity on Thursday, June 24th, 3:30 to 4:30, and that is the share out on the youth committee meeting. Any questions from commissioners? And then Commissioner Genevieve Jones-Wright is not with us this evening, so we will table an update on her section of the gang documentation ad hoc committee. And we will open up the floor to Dr. Hood is not here this evening, so I don't believe we have a chair report. So we will open up the floor, please, to our wonderful executive director, Pastor Jesus Sandoval.
Sure, thank you. And I'll be brief because I know folks got to get to dinner or family, and it's been a long day. But for all the new commissioners that are on board, if you'd like to check out our tactical plan, we do have it online. And if there's anything you need to update that you want to participate as far as doing a specific goal or objective on that tactical plan, we can adjust that, individualize it to your vision, to something that you want to do, something that pertains to your district. So we'll be able to do that if we need to revise it, because I know there's a lot of transitions going on right now with the commissioners. Or if you want to just back up the one that the KPI is a key performance indicator that's on the tactical plan that most of the commissioners signed up for and helped to co-create with when we went on our retreat with all the commissioners. So if you want to take a glance at that and revise, revamp anything that's relevant or that you consider important that needs to be redone, we're reviewing the tactical plan as a living document so that we can adjust as needed. Seasons of Peace, Bishop Bowser gave the update on that. Our community wrap program is going on every Monday. It's happening from 6 p.m. to 7:30. It's not virtual anymore. Now it's in person. Wanted to thank the UPAC for allowing us to use their space, providing dinners for us, community members just volunteering to Linda Kettler, making spaghetti for us. And folks that just want to participate, we do it every Monday from 6 to 7:30. And it's a non-funded program, specifically because we're a natural support in the community. So if you have youth or adults that are successfully graduating from their program and they're going to need a safety net of ongoing mentors or a hub that they can fit in so that they can continue their healing and their goals as a natural support, that's what that hub is about as well. And so you guys are welcome for that. I was going to introduce also new commissioner, Jamie Wilson, who is taking District 4, and she could not attend tonight, so we'll do it at our next meeting. Jamie Wilson. Our CAST, Community Assistance Support Team, continues to meet the second Thursday of every month from 8 to 9, and that's what all the different departments from probation, Sheriff's Department, SDPD, we update ourselves on what's going on in the community current so that we can network and connect and address specific needs that are going on in our community. And so that's still going on every month, second Thursday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Okay, that was pretty fast. That's all I have. That's all I have for you. Our next meeting is, for now, it's noted as virtual, but if we can meet social distancing, we'll be able to, I'll make sure I'll send out that notification in a timely fashion so that everyone can be there in person if by July we're able to do so. But I think from what Matthew Gordon, our Office of Boards and Commissions was saying, we may be looking and waiting until, if it's not by the month of July, by August. And so just want to give everyone a heads up on that, depending on where COVID is at and COVID restrictions and that kind of stuff. Okay.
Thank you so much to our Executive Director. Thank you, Pastor Sandoval. And do we have anyone a commissioner would like to make a motion to adjourn?
This is Ruben Leyva. I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Assistant Chief Ruben Leyva. Do we have a second, please?
And this is Elizabeth Bustos seconding that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Bustos. And all in favor say aye.
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 We are officially adjourned. That's a thank you to each of you for your heart and soul. Much love and light surrounding every single one of you. May you all go home safe every day and your loved ones safe and healthy. Thank you for your leadership on the front line as systems change, truly every single one of you here. And we are just profoundly grateful to have this virtual space together. So have a blessed evening all.
And
thank you, Commissioner Brown.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Commissioner Brown, for chairing.
For chairing and shepherding us to this through this conversation.
Great job, Commissioner Brown.
Thank you.
Great job.
So much.
As you would say, much love and light surrounding you.
Much love and light. Much love and light.
Hey,
yes.
stay safe. Get
and
vaccinated.
We have to get on the phone and chat.
Get
some meetings going.
You got that right. Get vaccinated. Stay safe.
I'm vaccinated.
You have doubts? Talk to me.
Okay.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
Thanks so
Have a great
much.
night, everyone.
Thanks so much, Michael.